Hi everyone, and welcome back to part 4 of my Gunpla practical tutorial series. First of all, I just want to apologise for taking this long to get to part 4. I know I did part 2 and 3 probably about a couple of months ago, and a few people have been asking, so it's a little bit delayed, but you know, here we go again. So in this part I want to talk about how I go about the process of building and eventually painting my Gunpla kits. And you don't have to do it this way, but I just thought I'd show you the way that I find the easiest for myself. And basically what I do is I will snap fit a kit together, as you see before you right now, the Kshatriya and the GM Quell. And what I like to do is just put them all together, you know, with nothing special. I don't even bother doing, you know, all the tidying or anything like that. I just kind of cut them with side cutters and do a little bit of tidying up, not too much with a blade, and put them together. And the reason for this is so that I can see how the kit will look, first of all. And because I'm on YouTube, I'll tend to probably do a review as is, you know, as unfinished kit, just to show you guys what it will look like straight out of the box, you know, to give you an accurate reflection on the kind of kit you're getting, and you know, so it will tell you whether it's worth your money or not. Now what I do after that is, well, actually the other reason for doing it is because once I paint a kit, I tend to not play with it. I leave it in a pose, and you know, I just have it displayed like that, well, forever really, because I just move on to the next kit, in all honesty. So what this allows me to do is, at this stage, the unpainted stage, is to basically play around with it. So I should describe that once it's painted, it just, you know, you really don't want to play with it. It just scratches and messes up the paint entirely. So at this stage is what I like to use for messing around with various poses and just playing with the kit, really. You know, just because it's we all paint our kits and it's a bit of a hobby doesn't mean you can't play with the kits, you know, as they are intended for. So you know, don't forget the fun side of the hobby. So you know, you don't want to always seem as priming and sanding and filling and, you know, all that kind of stuff as an absolute chore, really. So you know, don't forget that at the heart of why we do all this as a hobby is that it's fun, so never forget that. Alright, so the other thing on the more practical side, which is what I'm trying to show off with this series, is the reason, lastly, the most important reason that I do this, excuse me, that I do this is so I can see what parts require colour separation or not for in preparation when I prime and paint this. So for example, what I'm talking about with that is that, take this GM for example, you can see that most of his body is you know, his limbs are this kind of Titan's blue. So straight off you can, what this is telling me here is that you know, these forearms and the shoulders and the thighs and all of the legs are one colour. So really what you can get away with is doing, or what I try and do is try and paint as many parts together that are the same colour, not just in one sitting, but in actual one go. So I'll pre-assemble the parts kind of loosely together, and I will actually paint them at the same time. And the reason for that is so you get the same shade, because when you're airbrushing, sometimes, whether you realise it or not, you will get different shades. Whether, you know, sometimes you go for a heavy coat, sometimes you do a light coat, sometimes you mix your colours different, you know, all kinds of things really. So the other reason for this is for part separation. So and the Kshatriya, for example, if you look, it has quite a few similar colours, but it has a lot of parts. So what I'll do is I use this opportunity now whilst the kit's fully built, so I can see where all the parts, you know, I can cheat. So like the head, for example, I will clean that up. Excuse me, I know the beam saber's messing with the focus of the kit, but I will basically take, for example, this antenna, I will glue it to the head, you know, tidy it all up, and then I'll know that because the head is all in one colour and all that sort of stuff, I can just do it all in one go. So that is basically the main reason why you should build your kits before painting them. And I know that sounds strange because, believe me, a lot of people, they will actually paint their kits on the runner themselves. So some people cut them all out into individual pieces, then spray them and paint them, and then put them together. But if you do that, you'll find that a lot of the parts will really seriously have fitting problems, especially once the paint's on. You'll either be scratching the paint off as you assemble it back together, or you'll find that it's very hard to put together because the paint just adds that extra thickness, and it just gives the kit, it just gives you a lot of problems pushing the pieces together. So, what else did I want to talk about? Alright, so that gives you all the reasons as to why you should build a kit and before you paint it. But let's talk about some of the more practical issues and how you can go about best doing that. And that will probably lead me into my next video, which is going to be talking about cutting parts, trimming parts rather, and pegs, so that the kits can be taken apart much easier, because obviously once you get it to this stage and you've done what you need to do, well, now you're going to have to disassemble the whole thing and make it ready for painting. And there's a few tricks there that I can show you that gives you the easiest of times possible for disassembling these kits. So we'll move on to that in the next part. So once again, thank you very much for watching. I do apologise for how long it's taken me to put out some of the parts to this series, but please bear with me. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, then please press like and subscribe if you haven't. If you want to find an easy way of finding all the other parts to this series, and indeed any other Gunpla series that I do, then take a look at my website right here. They are of course all on YouTube, but I have them nice and neatly organised right there. So thanks very much for everyone. So thank you.